I'm back with everybody's favorite Democratic strategist, advisor to President Clinton, James Carville. Good to see you. And James, McConnell is saying that Republicans will, he says, win back Congress unless they nominate too many extremists. Take a look.
How could you screw this up? It's actually possible. You can't nominate somebody who's just sort of unacceptable to a broader group of people and win. We had that experience in 2010 and 2012.
There it is. And let's look at the facts. There's a recent count that found QAnon candidates are on the ballot in over half the states. There's scores of MAGA candidates who are running on lies about the 2020 election. And the Republicans face this test with their primaries that begin in earnest starting in May for a few more months. That's the conversation. Do you think McConnell is right about the risk, and how should Democrats approach it, James?
Well, old Moscow Mitch is up to his usual tricks. You know, he had quite a few dealings with the Russians, and of course his party, about a third of them are pulling for Russia. Yes, he wants people that will be compliant to his worldview, which is tax cuts for the richest people in the world and tax poor people, which is, I don't think is a very smart idea. But the problem is they are a weird political party. They need to be branded as such. These 26 QAnon people, all right, that's not necessarily the extreme. I mean, these are people that talk about testicle tanning. These are people that like go to Hungary for conferences. These are not normal. By and large, a large part of the Republican Party is just out and out weird. And when you have Moscow Mitch saying we need more sane people, that means you got a lot of really crazy people. Look at the clip when you and I and Bill were looking at Peter Navarro. That guy was a serious person in the White House. You telling me that he's a normal human being? No. And he's not even among the worst. And the thing that Democrats need to do is start pointing out how weird and strange the Republicans have become, and talk more about that and less about what Biden hadn't done for them. That's what I think. And I got to be a serious effort to just brand these people is that they're really like odd ducks. And then you got Trump saying, well, maybe the Russians and the Ukrainians can sit down. Everybody made a few mistakes here. We can just hammer this deal out. No, somebody illegally invaded a country and is ongoing committing war crimes. That's not good. You don't pull for them. That's a bad deal, a really bad deal.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying it's the weirdos, stupid.
Yes, but the weirdos are becoming a majority.
The main line,
You look at their commentators. They're out actually pulling for Russia. You look at Rick Scott's tax plan. He wants to tax another 75 million people. He wants to tax the hotel maids don't pay enough. Their life is too easy. Workers that work in nursing home facilities, they need to pay taxes more. I mean, that's a really strange stuff here, Ari. I mean, we're getting into some version when I was a kid. You're too young to remember this, but the Twilight Zone. That's what they are. They're out there somewhere in the Twilight Zone somewhere. I promise you.
Hey, shout out to the Twilight Zone. I have seen the reruns on streaming, but you're right. I didn't catch the original run. All right, so that's what you call the weirdo party from Tucker Carlson's obsession with the tanning that you mentioned for testosterone to rooting for Putin, which we've documented on this program is a big problem. Now, James, you're known for straight talk. Well, okay, I got one more thing for you, but go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what about the pedophilia? What about all
the QAnon?
The longest-term Republican speaker, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan. You know, look at how, and we've talked about this before, how Lauren Boebert met her husband. I'm telling you, these are not mainstream people. These are not like sane Republicans at all. And there's a lot of them. It's probably most of them. So,
well, that's what you're saying Democrats need to do, which is make sure they're on offense about this stuff rather than responding to some paranoid obsession with pedophilia. If Senator Cruz has that fixation, you put the spotlight back on that, because a lot of that stuff was full of lies, and it's as you say, an unhealthy thing to fixate on. Now that's the GOP side. I mentioned you do straight talk. We try to keep it real on the beat. There are issues in the Democratic side, James. People want to hear your reaction to that as well. The reality is Biden's poll numbers are low. And I want to show you the media did go off on Trump for low numbers throughout his unpopular presidency. Take a look.
At 32%, Donald Trump now has a lower favorability rating than any other recent president.
A 35% approval rating, according to Quinnipiac. That's lower than Obama's worst approval rating.
42% of Americans say they approve of the job the president is doing. That is lower than any other recent president.
President Trump's approval rating is hitting a new low.
We just can't underscore enough how historically low this is.
Historically low. We heard about that from politicos and pundits and people here on TV. But at this point, Trump was in the low 40s in his term. And take a look where Biden is now roughly the same, stuck in the low 40s. And now some people say that means either Biden is as unpopular as Trump, James, which would be concerning for the Democratic Party. Wait, well, I know you're raring to get in. I'm just going to finish the thought. Or is it a new era of polarization, that basically both parties' presidents are going to be stuck under 50% because of the era we're in? Do you think Biden has a problem, or what's your response to all this? So, all right, the 42 to 43%, there's a major difference. Trump at that time was getting 90 to 95% of Republicans. Biden right now is getting about 75% of Democrats. This problem can be addressed in a large part by bringing Democrats home. But as long as you have other Democrats saying Biden hadn't done anything for you, then people are going to, a certain number of people are going to believe that. And just as important, the independents are going to believe that. So independent says, if a Democrat is saying Biden hadn't done anything, well, I guess he really hadn't done anything. If you got Biden's number among Democrats to the point where Trump's number was, you'd have another 6 to 8 points on your favorable. It's a different 43. I know it's 42, 43. It's the same thing. But when you go inside and you unmask it, you see that Biden could get to right below 50 if the Democrats rallied behind him and started attacking the Republicans for being weird, as opposed to talking about what Biden hadn't done for you. That's so what I really think. No, I'm interested, and I bet some of the viewers, people be interested, because part of what you're getting at, James, is that, yeah, the top line numbers are what they are. That's why we compared it. We want to get your response. But your point is, while the Democratic Party has long talked about being a big tent, and the internet has only given more people a chance to weigh in, which can be great. There are great parts about that. It also means you feel like you're in one of those local town meetings and everybody's got 3 opinions about 2 projects, and a lot of people who say they'll vote for Biden again, and that's what we hear, people vote for Biden or a Democrat again in the party. They wouldn't vote for Trump, but they spend a lot of time talking about strategy, Senate, Manchin, Build Back Better, and you're saying that's the drag? That is totally the drag. It is also an enthusiasm drag. And I was in Georgia last night campaigning and said, if you watch the way that they treated now Justice Jackson, if you look at that, if you look at what the Supreme Court is really getting ready to do, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what does. And the problem that Democrats have, Ari, is no one fears us. They look and they say they're not going to do anything about it because they're just going to squabble with each other. So the Supreme Court does what it wants to. These state legislatures, they pass any restrictive voting law they want because they have learned over a period of time it doesn't matter. They're weak, and all they're going to do is talk bad about each other. Yeah. That literally, without, you can't govern without fear. You can't have a political party. Can't govern without fear. I've heard that before. All right, the last item is the easiest one. We saved the easiest for last, James. Now, this is insignificant. All right, just to be real, this is insignificant, but it is firing up the right. Okay, it's what I call a non-controversy. Okay, a non-controversy. It involves the President of the United States. He was talking to a bystander briefly outside the White House because at these invited events, you've been to them. Sometimes people can get up to the president. And then an Easter Bunny mascot walked by. It's a short moment. Here it is.
Pakistan should not, and Afghanistan should be. Oh, the Easter Bunny, Mr. President.
That's it. And that's all it is. And so we wouldn't even talk about this on the news. But I do want people to understand when we talk about the two worlds that we live in America, we're not talking about debates over policy. You and I, fine, you mentioned earlier you've been at it longer than me, but we've both been around times where you debate the policy and someone says, I think the federal government should spend less on schools. Leave it to the local. And other people say, no, some of the poorest schools, they're going to need more federal money. That's just a debate. I'm not going to say that people who have a different view one way or the other are somehow on a different planet. Those are policy debates. That's not where we are anymore. The moment I just showed you, which is nothing, showed up in at least 4 different top shows on Fox News arguing that random holiday moment means there must be something wrong with the president.
Biden was fumbling through questions about foreign policy when a staffer in an Easter Bunny costume appeared out of nowhere and led him away.
He is so obviously struggling cognitively.
The White House has found a new strategy to shield Biden from tough questions. A staffer dressed up as the Easter Bunny.
We do know that he's not running this show. He's just
Who do you think is running the show?
I don't know, but I can't believe it's him because he seems so out of it all the time.
James.
Again, what we talk about early is weird people. These are some strange, different, weird people. They're not like the rest of us. And they do that, in the same thing is like they fragrantly pull for Russia. They're just different. They have a different thing. It's strange that you would pick a moment like that, been to the East Egg Grove before on the White House lawn, but it doesn't matter. Strange people say strange things. And that's literally, I believe that is really one of the problems in America. You wouldn't do something. No normal person would make something out of that. Yet they'll generate a talking point in the morning and they're all talking about it. It's very weird, Ari. It really is.